everyone, this is FantasyEsque and welcome back to The Sims 4 Vampire Amazon Royal Saga with the Salazar Coven. Before we begin, I would say a very special welcome to my channel members. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it immensely. We are picking up back at Castle Wisteria with a very upset Queen Wisteria, who has turned into her dark form to unleash her wrath. Because in the previous episode we had some tragic events happened. Wisteria found out through Isadora that her beloved sister Zelda had turned on her and was leading this campaign to overthrow her as queen, even though that wasn't the case. And then she spent the rest of the day basically chatting with Isadora, trying to figure out what strategy they would take to deal with this disease in the coven, to deal with this problem in the coven. And then we had Sol, who enlisted the help of Zora to destroy the demon that was Antonio, managing to do so, and then they covered up, they essentially destroyed the portal, and they covered up the chambers that Zelda was using to conduct her experiments and her transformations, and they basically pulled that thing apart and covered it up with rubble and everything and overgrowth. There's a huge tree in its place now, so nobody can really access that area anymore. That means no more demons for Wisteria's grand army. And luckily, Zora has made it back. She is resting in her room, having a nap. No one else is the wiser. And then Sol has gone straight to Zelda and is confessing to Zelda everything that she's done. Now, unfortunately, in that whole battle, we lost my beloved Wendell Salazar, the youngest son of Queen Narcissa, who was I think a blondie, yes. He was beautiful. We had yet to use him in any breeding, and I was really hoping, like, he and Major, the two brothers, they're my favorites out of all the males that we've had born, and I was really hoping I could use him for breeding sometime in the future, but he died because even after Sol told all of the soldiers to go off on their own, return to their posts, that they wouldn't be blamed for this, that she would take all the blame, he decided to stay back and make sure that the coast was clear for his champion so that she could get out safely. And then he unfortunately died of the sun in that whole process, and I'm assuming maybe there was some remnant devil magic that tried to escape that went into Wendell and destroyed him, unfortunately. So everyone has returned to Castle Wisteria, and the queen herself is back to deal with the traitors. So she is looking absolutely fierce, as we can see, and she's ready to wreak some havoc. So let's go inside. She is going to come into the throne room, and as we can see, Zelda and Sol looking very concerned, and they are talking with each other. Zelda's probably wondering, like, what the heck have you done? She doesn't know how deep of trouble she is in at this point. Unfortunately, I mean, she was loyal this whole time around, but I guess she was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. So the queen's coming on through, and obviously she's deeply sad about the betrayal and everything that's happened. But she is going to, let's see, she is going to engage Zelda in a duel, which is very dangerous because Zelda is, I think she's tough. She's tough. She's won one of the championships. So the queen is going to duel her to hopefully show her her place, because she's gonna, like, just run in with accusations that no doubt Isadora has put into her mind, and Zelda is going to be caught completely off guard by this whole thing. So I am sure she's going to try to defend herself, because as far as she's concerned, she hasn't done anything to deserve this, right? She's going to try her best to defend herself. And look, she managed to beat the queen. But Zelda, we all know, she doesn't want to turn against the queen, right? She refused when Sol came to her. So obviously, and that battle, interestingly enough, tipped her over into being a grandmaster. But she has never thought of betraying her sister at all. Yes, she's been pissed off at her sister. They have been at odds at times, but she's never thought of betraying her. unfortunately, Wisteria is not willing to listen to any bit of reason, and at this point, even though she's defeated, she's just probably like declaring, she's calling out all the other vampires and making like sure that they know she's a traitor. So everyone, more or less, is going to rush to the scene to see what's going on up. What the heck is happening over here? Everyone wants to know. So they're all gonna rush here to see what the whole deal is about. And the queen at this point, she has told Isadora to keep an eye on Rowan. She's going to deal with Rowan at some other point. For now, she wants to focus on the immediate coven, and that is Zelda and Sol. So, look at Sol! She's so concerned, oh my sweetheart! Oh, Sol, I love you so much. But the queen is absolutely enraged. She is going to, let's see, she's going to tear into her sister. She's going to ask what her sister's problem is. Why would she turn against her? What has she done to deserve this? When she has given nothing but good opportunity to Zelda to make a life for herself and her daughters, and she is absolutely enraged that Zelda thought it was okay for her to go ahead and do such a thing and get away with it. So she's doing all of this slowly, little by little. Things are kind of coming back, and obviously Zelda doesn't know what the hell's going on, right? So she's just going to defend herself as she knows. And so what does she say? She says, just let me stew in my bitterness in peace. Some things are hard to forget or forgive. And this isn't helping her case at all. As far as Wisteria is concerned, she's just confessing even more so that she actually was planning on going against Wisteria. But that's not what Zelda thinks. Zelda's just thinking, like, she's probably referring to something else and thinking, maybe the queen's lashing out at me because of something else we did in the past. Because until recently, they were at odds with each other quite a bit, and they managed to patch up, but maybe that was more of a fragile patch up than initially thought. So that's going down. Look at these guys. They're upset. So is Saphira and Yuki. Oh my goodness. Okay, now we talked about this in the previous episode, but the reason why Wisteria was discussing these matters with Isadora rather than coming back and talking about it with Oriana, as she should have, because Oriana is the scholar and so her advisor in a way, she wasn't trusting of her coven all of a sudden. Like, she wasn't sure how many Zelda had converted to her campaign. So at this point in time, it's also like a risk for the queen to be back here in her mind, and she needs to establish order as soon as possible, and she needs everyone who's loyal to her to prove themselves. So she, at this point, doesn't have a champion to arrest Zelda, because their champion is also a traitor in her eyes and needs to be arrested, and Sol is just so sad by this whole thing. And the queen is going to call upon the one sim who can do the job at this point. She's going to call upon the champion in line, Saphira. Now, Saphira is an immortal. She just recently became an immortal along with her sister, Galaxia, but she's always worked under Sol. So this is really awkward because Sol is her mentor, and then Zelda is her mother, and right now the queen is ordering her to arrest her mother as a traitor and to arrest her mentor as a traitor. So Saphira has to prove herself as a loyal member of the coven, and so she is going to do exactly that. She is going to do exactly what the queen's asking. I think she would be maybe the slightest bit hesitant because she is she affectionate of them is the question. She is decently affectionate of them, but she's actually closer to Wisteria than she is to either her mentor or her mother. So I think if she's confused about the situation and doubting herself a little bit, she would go for the person she trusts more, and that is Queen Wisteria. So she is going to take them down to the dungeon that we have never had to use ever. But we're gonna unlock this. She's gonna take them down. She's gonna escort them all to the dungeon. Wait, are you being escorted? Hold on a second. Where is Zelda? Where is Zelda? Okay. Zelda, you need to accompany them as well. Yep, Zelda has too much dignity to be, pushed around by her own daughter. She's gonna follow them. But Saphira is leading them down. And the queen is gonna follow as well from the back to make sure that nothing funny happens. They don't try anything. She's gonna follow down. This is a very sad day for everyone. A very sad day. But there we go. Soul, I don't think, would have said anything to challenge what the queen is going on about because she knows she's guilty. And Zelda doesn't know what's going on, so she can't exactly defend herself and say, I wasn't the one who went against you, because the queen's, she's saying that Zelda's a traitor, she's accusing her, but she's not telling her what she's being accused of. She's not telling her how she betrayed the queen. So that's why Zelda's a little bit confused, and she's coming out as a bit snarky and bitter, which isn't helping her case, but I'm gonna unlock these, and they're gonna be imprisoned. These two. They are gonna be imprisoned while the queen decides their fate. So, let's see. Oh, Soul's gonna go cry it out. Zelda is going to go sit down on the bed. So let's go inside. Into your cells. Into your cells. There we go. And the queen is going to make sure that these doors are locked, that nobody has access to this. So we're going to lock these doors. These two are going to be in the dungeon. Who knows what their fate is at this point? The queen hasn't decided. She needs to think on it. But she is going to commend Saphira for doing the right thing and proving her loyalty. So let's see. Wisteria. Let's go ahead and let's see. We're gonna go ahead and we could do she's gonna give her a hug. She's gonna give Saphira a hug and thank her for doing what is right for the coven, and she is going to, let's see, to have a deep conversation, yep, and discuss the specifics of what's going on, in that her mother has raised a campaign to overthrow the queen. Now, if Zelda actually had taken part in a campaign to overthrow the queen, what would the other Sims have done? Like, what would have they done? What would they have done? There we go. So let's look at everyone's relationships to see what might have happened if Zelda actually was doing this, and if she had shared this with everyone. Obviously they didn't know, so they couldn't exactly take part, but we're gonna gauge the relationship between everyone in the coven to see who would have been on whose side, because I think that'd be interesting to see. So with Zora is actually closer to Wisteria. So like we discussed before, Wisteria helped Zora to, overcome the prejudice she was being faced with when she moved into the coven, and Zelda was the one giving her the hardest time, so it makes sense that she would choose Wisteria over Zelda, even though she helped Soul to destroy the demonic army that Wisteria was trying to build. So nothing's like black and white. There's like a gray area with a lot of these Sims. So she would have taken Wisteria's side. Oriana, she would have taken Zelda's side. Oriana is actually closer to Zelda, even though she's Wisteria's scholar and advisor. So if we actually did have a Zelda versus Wisteria campaign, which Zelda's not leading, by the way, if we did, then she would have taken Zelda's side. So that's that would have been another betrayal to the queen. Galaxia. Now they look like they have very similar, Galaxia looks as though she's kind of even on Wisteria and Zelda, but I think she's actually got a little bit more towards Zelda. So that's interesting. She actually would have, even though Oh, this would have been so much drama if this had happened. If this had happened. She is the closest to a sister, like a twin sister Saphira. They are best friends, besties. They share everything with each other. They love each other, even though they're always at odds in terms of like what the Coven expects them to do. They still adore each other quite a bit. Um, and yet, Galaxia would have chosen her mother's side in this war. But her sister Saphira obviously has made her decision and she's chosen Wisteria. So the two twins, they would have been split if this actually had been a war. They would have been on opposite sides of this. So she would have chosen her mother, and it makes sense because she is the next priestess in line. In fact, a reason why Saphira is so bitter towards Zelda, or I don't know if bitter is the right word, but the reason why she's not so as chummy as Galaxia is because she like always felt a bit discarded after she was kind of sent packing by Queen Wisteria to be the next champion in line. She has the personality to be more of a priestess, but she was supposed to be the champion, and her older sister got to stay with their mother to be a priestess. So I think she was bitter about that for a bit, and instead of taking it out on Wisteria, who ordered that change, she actually took it out on her mother, who was ready to kind of give her away so easily. So that's kind of interesting. Now, Soul, we already know. Soul actually has been wanting to, like, funnily enough, she's actually closer to Wisteria because she has been for a long time, but she's the one who initiated this campaign or wanted Zelda to take part, so she would have been on Zelda's side. Yuki, let's see, Yuki would have been on Zelda's side. So that's cool because her mother would also have been on Zelda's side. Okay. Now, Princess Aphrodite would have been on her mother's side. Yep, on her mother's side makes sense. You obviously want your mother to be the queen, not your aunt. So she's close to Zelda, but she actually would have taken Wisteria's side only by a little bit. And then little Ciri. Let's see. Ciri. Oh, this is tough. It's almost like the same amount, but I think she would have gone with her mother. Yeah, I think she's got a little bit more for her mother than Wisteria. So it's kind of interesting. We have, like, these guys split quite a bit. So how many people does Zelda have on her side? She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think she had 5 on her side, right? She had 5. And then Wisteria would have had 1, 2, and 3. It would have been like 3 against 5. Oh my goodness. So majority of the Coven would have sided with Zelda, would have chosen Zelda as their new queen. Oh, guys, who would you have chosen? Whose side would you be on if they had been a battle that had occurred and Zelda truly was a traitor? Would you be on Wisteria's side or would you be on Zelda's side? Because most of these Sims, they would actually pick Zelda. So that's it for now. The queen needs to think on what she wants to do with her 2 prisoners, and she's also probably, now that she's got these 2 under control, she's most likely going to get Rowan to join them in the cells, but also I think she's going to have to start deploying some of her male spellcasters because we're running short on the soldiers to take charge of various places around the queendom to make up for the shortage of these vampires being arrested. I think one of her male spellcasters was sent to take care of the Dragonarium because Antonio, the previous caretaker, was killed. So we're doing that. And we'll be back when the queen hopefully apprehends Rowan and she decides what exactly is going on. We're in the throne room. Everyone is waiting very, very grimly and patiently for the queen's decision regarding the 3 prisoners that she has. In the hours following Zelda and Soul's arrest, she managed to apprehend Lady Rowan, who is also currently prisoner in the dungeon. As you can see, all 3 of the ladies are locked up with the crime of following Zelda into overthrowing the queen. Now, obviously, the only one who was actually involved in this was Soul. Rowan and Zelda are innocent and loyal, but that's not the story that the Queen has heard from Isadora, and also what she herself now believes and is willing to fight everyone for. So no one can convince her otherwise at this point. Like, as far as she's concerned, they're guilty. And that's what she's going to act upon. So she has been thinking in the time that it's taken to arrest Rowan, and nobody has said a single word to her because, I mean, I don't even know if the Queen would listen to anyone at this point, because she had a very in-depth talk with Isadora before she came. So if she had any room to forgive, or if she had any room to think otherwise, Isadora's made sure that it's not the case. She has gotten rid of any doubt that the Queen could have about this whole situation. And she's not here, obviously, because she's at Castle Sheba doing her job. But the Queen is going to declare to everyone here. I mean, three of these Sims are Zelda's daughters, so this is quite a grim situation and quite saddening for everyone. Rowan and Sol have no kids, of course, but members of the Coven are still affectionate of them. Because all of these girls, they grew up with Rowan. Rowan raised them until they were of age. But the Queen is declaring that she has decided there is no room for forgiveness. There is no room for second chances. She is sentencing all three of the traitors to death. So Isadora has managed to convince her, and this is a decision that, I mean, the execution part is a decision Wisteria has come to on her own. Isadora just influenced her, but she's decided there's no going back now. She is gonna execute all three of the traitors. That's Lady Rowan, that's Lady Sol, and that is Lady Zelda. So, Zora is going to be the executioner that the Queen obviously is going to extract this by. Zora no doubt hates it. I don't think she wants to do it, but she has no choice. She would, like we saw, kind of, if she had to pick a side, she would pick Wisteria's side. So she is going to follow through if Wisteria wants her again, just like she did with the ambassadors, to prove her loyalty and such. And also, out of, like, she's thankful to the Queen for the life she's had, obviously, even though she knows this is wrong. But she did have her redeeming act in the previous episode, so I don't know if that makes up for the fact that she is probably going to end up killing the three Sims that we love so much. But that's it. Wisteria's decided if anyone says anything against her at this point, she doesn't want to hear anyone challenge this. She's letting them know now that if anyone challenges that decision, which she's taking to protect the Coven and everything they have built, then she will take that as an act of treason. And she doesn't want to have to tear the Coven apart this way. So she is hoping that everyone is going to abide by her choice and her decision, and as difficult as it may be, they just have to accept that this is what has to happen. Now, Zora has gone away on her own to the restroom for a bit, I think partially because she's trying to process this and emotionally come to terms with what she has to do. The Queen hasn't told them when this execution will take place. For now, she is going to keep them in prison, and she's going to sustain them while they're imprisoned, but perhaps tomorrow at some point, she is going to line them up and she's going to execute them, but currently we're not sure if the execution is going to take place here at Castle Wisteria, if it's going to take place at Castle Sheba, because Isadora is there. I'm sure Isadora would want to see, but then again, traditionally, the deaths we've had at Castle Sheba have always been for the fire tribute, which is an honorable thing, but don't forget, we also have an execution chamber that we haven't used in a long time on the opposite side of the castle, so the Queen might decide to carry out the executions there. So that's kind of where we're at, guys. It makes me really sad that the story has come over here, but no pain, no gain. So, okay, with that said and done, I'm gonna leave off here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next episode. Bye bye.